Hello, I thought I'd give you the top 10 mods that you might be useful for you. And this is the Spinal Tap version, which is 11 mods really. And the first one here is first person camera. As you can see, you can go right down to ground level and have a look around. You can also click on any of your sims or your vehicles and enter them in first person view so you can get a look from their perspective. You can go up and go around, and it just gives you a better view, a sort of a point of view perspective, first person. Quite neat. Might be able to use it in a video intro before you kick off your episode. Up here is the icon for it. There's heaps of options, but really the only ones you really touch or want to touch is the speed you move and the ground distance, how close to the ground you'll go. Tab is the button the kitty used to go in and go out. That's the first one. Second one, handy, is the auto bulldoze. Instead of, especially when your city gets bigger and bigger, as you see I'm just sort of starting a new city, but as it gets bigger and bigger and you get all your abandoned buildings and everything and go around clicking building, you're the mayor, you've got a department to do that. So auto bulldoze will automatically bulldoze any abandoned or burnt buildings, and you can turn those options off by clicking them, turn them back on. City vitals, next one. You can keep an eye on the things you want instead of having the warning thing come up, which half the time is just things you don't really need to know. But here you can just keep it on the side, transparent menu, and look after what you need, what your electricity, water. You can set in the settings what you want, and you can also hide it with that button there. This is movable, as the free camera one as well, and that's movable. Next one is move it. Move it is handy, very handy for a couple of reasons. As you move buildings, like your high school or something, relocate, costs you money, but you can only do that to service buildings. What if you want to move a house or something? And this is where it comes really good. Down here, move it, and you can click on anything from roads to trees to any type of prop and move it however you want and wherever you want to. And you can also use the marquee select, and you can select a whole bunch and move them all at once. You can have it snap, so it would automatically snap. You also have this option here, align heights, which is really handy if you have roads down that have sudden ups or bumps on them and not a smooth transition to the next segment. You can click on the one you want, click on align height, and align it to the next one you want. And you can do that with buildings as well. I'm just currently doing it with these buildings here, being on such a big slope. I can click on a building, hit align height, and click on the street road or even where the segment joins, and it'll align it to that height. You also can, another brilliant thing, it's handy for me because I've got a mod that I can move the houses so they're not so close to the road. I can put them back, and also I can create another, here we go, like subdivisions or a right of way. It's probably not the best example. I can move them, but I can click on that, move it over here. There we go, line it up there, and I've got a right of way. And also, as long as it's within the 4 square, this is a 2x2 and a 2x2, so generally the biggest you get is 4x4, and as long as it's within the 4x4, you're still able to have your household in there. And then that way you can, like this one here, I've moved back away from the road, give it a bit more realism to it. The other good thing about it as well is when you're doing landscaping like here, when you're popping down trees, there's only a certain amount of trees the map will take. You have a limit, and you actually, even though it's over 1 million, you run out pretty quick. And the reason for that is when you pop down your road and the houses start building, if there are any trees here, the trees don't actually disappear, they're still in the memory in your game. And if I deleted that and there was a tree there, the tree would pop back up. So with that marquee selection, you can select a whole bunch before you put it down. Oh, I press the copy. That's also, you can copy. So if I had that last house I selected, I can hit copy and it makes another copy of it. I can put it down. I don't want that there, so I'll get rid of it. But with the marquee, obviously I can click a whole bunch and hit bulldoze there, and away they go. A lot easier to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff at once. Next one, network extensions. Now these mods I've shown you have been around since almost the dawn of City Skylines, and are the most popular ones and stable. And network extensions will give you extra options in roads. Here you get nice little small roads like I have here, my little subdivisions. Yeah, gravel road, that one's not part of it, that's one I downloaded. But these ones here, you also get these options here, which is the smaller, heavier roads. So you get 2-lane asymmetrical road, 3-lane one-way road, which is not part of the vanilla, small 4-lane road. So normally when you get a 4-lane, it's bigger. When you go to upgrade, like a 2-lane road, it goes out and takes away one square on there and one square in there because it's bigger. With this one, it doesn't do that. It's the same width. As you can see there, there's the 4-lane road and there's a 2-lane road. It's the same width, and you don't have to worry about that. Other ones as well, medium barriers. Also bus lines, they say beta, but they work perfectly well. And pedestrian parkways, which you can use, and they're zonable, so you can put it down and still have your houses there. Though cars will go up these pathways, but there is a way around that, which is another mod that is also good that you use to get rid of that, and I'll show you that soon. Next one is a prop line tool. Prop line tool is handy. That's how I got all my trees in a row, and by doing that, instead of placing them down one by one, which I do have the option, there's a prop line tool. This is the menu here, just the same as the roads. Here you can plop down one at a time, or you got the option here where you can pop down a whole row. And the spacing of the trees can be adjusted in the menu here, how far you want the spacing of each tree. Of course you have the curve and the free tool, just like the other one, but you also have this circle, which is handy if you've got roundabouts, which I got rid of my roundabout. But you basically click on that, click on where you want to start, don't have to hold the mouse button down, you just move it in and out and you got a nice circle. Perfect. And the next one is real time. This adds a lot of realism to the game. As you can see, normally down here you have the date like it's showing up in the year 11/11 to 2018. Instead it goes for weeks, so you do weeks and days, and it starts off from the actual date you use the mod. So if you use the mod on today's date, 11th of 11th 2018, then it will start from that date and goes on, and you have your night cycles. And with that you can have options. As you can see, I've got quite a few mods, and that's not all of them, but I'm just giving you the main ones. If I find it real time, every time you come in here, they always move. It's not in alphabetical order. But here you go, you can set the speed of your day and your night, so you can how fast they'll go. Dynamic day length, which means you get longer days and shorter days depending on the seasons, and I think the seasons is actually taken from where you are in the world. So southern hemisphere for me, So we're getting into spring, so I get longer days. Enable weekends, which means your Sims and you don't go to work or school on the weekends. They have proper weekends. Better aging and birth rate. Pause building construction upgrade at night time, which basically means during the work hour, which you can set, it'll build, and once the work day's finished, they'll stop building and then continue tomorrow. And you can set the speed of the construction, switch off building lights at night, so there's a time they go to bed, all the lights will be switched off, and better traffic jam and public transport waiting behaviour. You have your probability, so second shift workers, what percentage of your Sims will, take do a second shift. Same with their night shift, whether or not they'll take a lunch break. How many of them will go shopping? How many of them will shop just for fun instead of necessities like going for groceries? And on time ratio, how many Sims will make it to work or anywhere they're going on time? You can set your events when you're doing your leisure with your concerts and that, so the noise reduction is not going through at night time. Then you got your time, the time the city wakes up, 6 in the morning, time they go to sleep, what time the work hour starts, what time the work hour ends. I need to change that, that's a bit ridiculous. You can enable lunchtime, 12 to 1 o'clock, maximum overtime they do, 2 hours. Then even the school start times and vacation holidays, how many days they'll take. It's a lot of realism to it, but it does slow the game day down. So when you start, because you've got a lot of adults that move in and not very many children, all the adults that first move in that aren't educated, and because it changes the birth control rate, then you get a lot of this going on as you level up. The not enough educated workers, but eventually that'll go because your children will go to school, they'll grow up educated, and then they'll have kids and they'll grow up educated. But at the beginning, because they move in not educated, they stay not educated, only the children get educated. Action cam is another one, and this just gives you an option with the cinematic camera. You can get action cam, which when you click on your cinematic action cam, it'll follow any emergency vehicle, police, fire or ambulance, and cycle through that. Another one is improved public transport too, and this just gives you more options with your public transport and gives you a bit more detail of what's going on. And that's just on a bus itself. When you go to line details, you can select the type of buses you want if you download extra assets of buses. You can add or remove, you can have unbunching, so when they get to a bus stop, instead of all of them sitting there waiting and creating a traffic jam, it'll try and bunch the times up so there's not a big wait or a big line of buses waiting to get to that one bus stop. And you can set it to have the budget control it, or you control how many buses you want on that line. There's also another mod that'll, I forget the name of it right now, but it might be in here. I'll quickly go and have a look. But what it'll do, it automatically auto line colour, automatically set up the colour for your transport lines, and you can set it to naming strategy. Traffic Manager. Now this has been around before Mass Transit came out and is still handy, and the reason that it was one of the best and still is because you were able to turn the traffic lights on and off at a junction, because they tend to make a big traffic jam. But since Mass Transit came out, you can do that with the in the options up here, as you've seen, and toggle your to a stop, or just not have it either at all. But what this does up here, it gives you more options. It's you toggle the traffic lights on and off. That's a manual traffic lights, which means what you can do is set a traffic lights is you can, if you've got a bit of a backlog and stuff, you can actually sit there and click them and manually turn which ones you want green and which ones you want red until the backlog goes, which you don't have time for that. So that's why they got the time traffic lights, where you can click on that, click on a traffic light, and set up time traffic lights. And you just add a step, and you can set which ones you want. So my first step would they be green and that be red, and then in here you set how many seconds, the minimum amount of seconds and the maximum amount of seconds you want those lights to turn green. And what it will do is actually have a look at see how many cars are waiting, and it won't actually stick to those times. It'll go where if you've got a 20-second maximum and it's 10 seconds in, it will figure out that there's no cars there, so it automatically turn it to the next step. So you can set it up, you can change the modes of how your traffic lights look, so you can have left, right or anything like that, and it'll change the arrows. And there's a whole bunch of other things you do which you can have a play around and have a look at. It doesn't take long to get used to it. And you can also set it up so your traffic light and another traffic light, if the two junctions close together, can mimic it, and that way you can have green lights all the way through. The timing of green light, instead of them coming here and then getting a red light here, and you get a big backup, and you can have them timing. Just get rid of that, and it's quite handy. And that way you don't have to look at after your traffic lights, and you can switch it on and off. You can just turn it on when there's a rush hour. You can set your arrows. As you can see here, I can turn the arrows on and off on the road there. So if you don't want a car to be able to make a right hand turn, say in this lane, you just want it straight ahead, then you just turn it off, they go straight ahead. Real handy. Lane changer, another one, you can, which will also adjust the arrows, but you can tell this lane go there, and you just click on it, and they can go straight ahead as well, or they can left. If you're doing left lane only, you can put them into 2 lanes, and you can get rid of that by clicking on there and moving it off. You just click into the circles. This one here will just stop any despawning going on with vehicles, and that clear all the traffic, just gets rid of all the traffic on the road and restarts again. But when you get a bigger city, your CPU doesn't like that. Junctions, it's pretty much the same as the other one. You can have junctions, but this time you have giveaways or yield setups. So you got your priority road, stop, and giveaways, yield. This is your junction restrictions, which basically you can stop any U-turns, even your pedestrians crossing, any lane changing at this junction. Set speed limits for your roads, and your train as well. And you can use some of this on your stoplights and that with your train tracks as well. So you can set up, if you've got like a normal 2-lane road and you want to use it as a main one, and it's set in game 40 kilometers an hour, you can change it to 100, and that's the fastest all your cars will go. The 110, 120, 130 is basically for your trains, and you can set it individually. You can do like here, I've got 40 and I don't want 40 on that for some reason. Let's make it 50. So 50, you can click it individually, or you hold the shift down and I'll click that segment of road there and change that to 50. And you also can just go through here and set whatever you want on whatever road you've got, and save it, which will save next time you put it down. It'll automatically go to that instead of the default speed, or save and apply, which will save it and apply to the roads already put down. Vehicle restrictions. Click on a road and you can tell which lane is allowed what. So you got your cars, your bus, I'm not sure if that's taxi or emergency vehicles, trucks, rubbish, and SOS, which I think must be the emergency. So it must be taxi. So you can tell, no, I don't want you on that lane, or you can have a set up a lane. If you get 3 lanes, you can set it up as a bus only lane, make it easier and for the traffic. And parking restrictions. As you see here, I've made it so they can't park anywhere down here. So you can just click on it, on the whatever you can do side by side. It's just the way that is. You can click one side, take it off. That's quite a handy little mod. That's pretty much it. I hope this is helpful. It gives you, make it quicker for you to, you can see what kind of mods there are and help you out with your gameplay. And if you see anything else here, there's a lot of other mods to do with putting down different props and that. That's why I got my farm here, how to make that, and even mods to make your roads a bit more angles and join them up and stuff like that. And if you are interested in any of those, just let me know with a comment, and I'll do an extra video for you to show you the different things you can do setting up your city and what you can do with your props and what mods are the best ones for it, and how to set it up so you can have your little subdivides and right-of-ways and stuff like that. Yeah, I hope this is helpful for you.